Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on Alexis University. This success series will be a little bit different. I sat down and talked to 14 different millennials about their journey to success. Each week, we will bring you their interviews, so make sure you stay tuned.
My name is LaDeja Robinson, and I am a manufacturing engineer as well as training to be a project manager at Norfolk Grumman.
Okay. And then what did you go to school for? Do you feel like what you went to school for prepared you for your job now, or do you think that you could have took a different route?
Wow, that's a good question. Well, I got a degree in bioengineering with a minor in innovation and entrepreneurship, which is a fancy way of saying business.
Okay.
But prepare me for my job. I wouldn't say the degree itself, considering that I went to school for bioengineering. I work in aerospace and defense. A lot of people don't see that direct correlation.
Okay.
However, the transferable skills from particular classes, as well as the opportunities and self-teaching that I did prepare me for my current job. So the classes put me in prepared my mindset or how to look at certain things and basic principles or engineering and physics principles. But it was it was everything I did outside the classroom that prepared me a little better.
Okay.
I could have pursued mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, computer. Those are the typical degrees of the people I work with. I'm really the anomaly out of everyone, but no, I think it actually allows me to think differently than those people, than that traditional way of thinking. So I wouldn't have done another route. I actually like the route that I chose.
Okay, and then when you went to college, did you know what you wanted to do, or did this come about later in life? What was like your path while you were in college?
My path, quite a few. So in high school, I went to a science and engineering, based high school, and there I was influenced, and I had a mentor that convinced me that I wanted to go into engineering. So I did want to go into engineering, but I had this healthcare influence because my mom was a nurse. So I was sort of like tethering on this line between engineering or, health, engineering, health. And when I applied to college, I actually applied to be for their neurobiology and physiology program on the pre-med track. So that engineering teacher wasn't quite happy with me in that decision I made. Like, it was either you choose a science track or engineering track, and I chose science. So I could go into, my college classes a little more prepared, my science classes. So yes, I started out as a neurobiology and physiology major on the pre-med track. I then switched to the pre-PA track. I switched again to the pre-nursing track.
Okay.
I became undecided or undeclared altogether. I was a little confused, with wanting to even remain in college or not. And then I actually made that jump. I was afraid to apply to the engineering school because of, the credibility, and I thought it was going to be too hard, and I thought it was for me. But in my junior year, I made the jump to become an engineering major, and I chose bioengineering because it aligned with the classes I did already, and I spent 1 year less in school. So instead of 6 years, I was only in school for an extra, year instead of 2 years.
What made you decide to go to a PWI versus a HBCU? Was it money was a factor? Was it just like what made you decide that this was a school for me?
Money was the biggest factor. I got a full ride.
Oh wow. Okay.
College Park. So to me, it was a no-brainer.
Right.
At that point. And to be honest, I really didn't. The research I did, I will actually put it on me. I could have done a little more research. The programs that came up when you search, again, I was still tethering on that line between engineering and science. So finding schools with bioengineering programs, because before I became neurobiology, I was looking at bioengineering, PWIs came up.
Gotcha.
And to be honest, no one actually explained to me, this is an HBCU and this is a
right.
For me, it was just, it's a college. So when I'm searching for programs, now I realize only PWIs came up on that search. And so, D fit the money, and then the program, availability that was offered to me to pursue what I thought I wanted to do. So.
Okay. Do you think you're at a better advantage with people as far as like not having to pay college debt? Do you think that has put you in a different box? Because like I have debt and my debt is piling up. So
definitely, I do have a little bit of debt, but I don't talk about it because when I say the number, they're like, girl, but this only got debt from my summer classes because I had to catch up. Okay. I didn't want to. I was like, you guys only getting an extra year out of me, so I'm going to come out of pocket to pay for these summer classes. You are not getting another semester out of me, 1 year, and that's it. So I did have to pay for my summer classes. So it's $64 a month, and I'm coming out of pocket to pay for that is nothing compared to what other people are doing. So I don't have to really think about the debt. I don't have to think about the bill. I don't even consider it debt. I don't really pay attention to it. So it took a load out of my plate. I know a lot of people like, oh, I need to get a job to like, I gotta start paying off these student loans and that time is coming, the interest is piling. I have to think about that. So definitely.
Especially because like, I'm sure with the field that you're in, you're making a lot more money than people who may have came out with a different degree. So their degree to, or their debt to income ratio is kind of like,
yeah. I was like, blessed to not have to worry about that. And with the small amount compared to others I do, it's not really a second thought.
Gotcha.
Doesn't add any like stress.
If you knew what you knew now about like yourself, about college, would you go back and change anything about your experience?
No, because I believe the path that I took, the people that I've come across, the failures, the successes prepared me for where I am now. So I actually, looking back, I appreciate the journey. So
I would like that while you was in college though.
You say that again?
Did you feel like that while you were in college?
In college, I almost dropped out. My sophomore year, I almost dropped out. I just didn't know if this was for me. I had family stuff going on, so I thought, maybe I could just go home and work. And, I could be a little more of use if I was at home. But it took my grandma saying, you could be more helpful if you just stay where you are now. Okay. Finish, and you'll be even more helpful than you coming home working 12, 16 hours to help your family. So that's what made me stay. So in college, I was like, ugh. I don't know, like this is rough. But now I'm like, I appreciate every late night, every tear, every non-A. I really appreciate everything I went through because it has, I don't know, I contribute all of that to where I am now. So I wouldn't change anything because who knows where I would be if I did change it. Would it be better? Would it be worse? I really don't know. Can't answer that. But I like where I am now and I appreciate how I got here, even if it wasn't the best.
You talked about your influence from your teacher and your mom on what you wanted to do with your career. What can you tell to people or students who necessarily don't have that influence or are still kind of teetering with what they want to do? Do you think they should go to college and take just their gen ed classes first, or like what's some advice that you would give to them?
I would say your freshman year, take advantage of it. Try those different classes in those, those gen eds and those different humanities. Take a business class, a history class, a art class. Do whatever sparks your interest or what you think you're interested in. You can take the classes. But outside of taking those classes, talk to people who are doing what you think you want to do. Figure out their trajectories. They could have gotten there a totally different route. Maybe it involved college, maybe it didn't, a different degree. Who knows? So why not talk to people in those experiences and reach out, sending emails, setting up informational interviews, stalking LinkedIn's, whatever you have to do. That's what I did. Talk to people, get their experiences, and then, choose your path from there. But I will also say, like, don't let your degree put you in a box. The degree opens the doors. What you do, considering, self-teaching or internships or any other opportunities, can really open up other doors. So don't just let your degree put you in this box like, oh, like for myself, bioengineering. Okay, I need to work with medical devices or pharmaceuticals or something biology related. No, the engineering part is what opened up the doors for me. I decided which door I wanted to open based on the experiences I cultivated for myself.
Okay, and then did you have any internships in college that helped you get to where you are now, or did you just get lucky and find a job right out of college?
I actually started out with my company as an intern.
Okay.
So I applied sort of on a whim, a why not. I was bored, actually. I have no chance, like Northrop Grumman. I didn't even know what they did at that time. I did my research before applying, of course, but I was Northrop Grumman, bioengineering, whatever. I'm just going to apply. I was going to a career fair. My goal was to seek out, bioengineering related opportunities, but I said, why not apply? It's not going to take much. So I just applied, and a week before that career fair, they reached out to me to interview. So I was like, a little taken aback. Like, I did this out of boredom. I didn't expect anything to come from this. But from there, and then the interviews and the actual internship experience, I've just been there ever since. And I haven't left. So from intern to full-time to, my second year as a full-time employee. So.
And did your internship, did they offer you a full-time job during your internship, or was it like you went back to school and then they kind of thought about it or you reapplied? Like, how did that work?
Yes, they offered me full-time 2 months into the internship. Okay. So my last year, I didn't have to interview, even though I will say, even if you do get offered something before you graduate, still apply to things.
Right.
Just to see. So I got that full-time. I signed a dotted line, and for my final year, I just chilled out. I just focused on classes. I had classmates that were going from, have on their suits and their to leave and going to here and going to career fairs and talking to this person, and I didn't have to worry about that. I was like, I just need the degree, and that's the only thing that's standing in between, that salary, and now I just need the degree. So yes, it's lucky. I guess you can say lucky. I have to worry about that, but.
What lessons do you think that you learned while being in college? Earlier, you talked about your family saying, stay at school, you're better there. Do you think that helped, build more character? What are some things that you think really helped you just become the person that you are today?
Wow. My biggest lesson I learned was it was okay to not be okay. I felt like because of what I was going through, at home and trying to juggle home life and college, and no one prepared me for this next step. I was told, in high school, I was prepped and primed to, college, that's the next step.
Right.
This is what I'm supposed to do, but no one told me how to do it. And once I was there, I was just there. But luckily I was a part of a scholarship program with very supportive people. So I had to learn that it takes a team. It really does take a village. And I didn't have to take on everything on my own. I didn't have to figure out everything on my own. There are resources from office hours, from just individuals, online resources. So I apply that to life now at work. I don't have to sit there and rack my brain and try to figure it out and, be the person that figures out everything. No, instead of spending those 9 hours trying to figure it out, why not have a conversation with someone that's more senior and could guide me or lead me to that answer a lot sooner? Why not do that research instead of trying to reinvent the wheel to figure things out sooner? So admitting that I need help and that I'm not okay, and then doing what I need to get to, that next step. So that was one of the biggest lessons I learned. Another lesson I learned in college, definitely considering that I went to a PWI, that my program didn't have a lot of people that looked like me, spoke like me, through what I've been through. I had to realize that I am just as capable as my peers. Of course, in the work world, you do feel like you have to do a little more to prove your worth or your intelligence or your capabilities. But I had to realize that my work speaks for itself. I don't really have to prove anything to anyone else besides myself. And I realized that in the classroom very soon. I was the girl that sat there and I interacted, but I didn't do much. It took me joining the group where my work literally was doubted. People didn't think I could do that work. And for me to say, well, here you go. And
right.
for the professor, just to be doubted. People don't know anything about me, but because of how I look, people assume. So I had to just realize the work speaks for itself. And in the workplace, it's the same. I'm the youngest. I'm the only female. I'm the only Black person, and I am the youngest person.
So you got all these things, like, not necessarily going against you, but just like, you're like the elephant in the room.
Yeah. So realizing, being the elephant in the room to my advantage, I take joy in surprising people, even though that shouldn't be the case, but surprising people now, no one doubts anything that I do. So yeah, those were two of the lessons that I learned in college, and it has directly translated into where I am today, how I operate today.
Do you think that building different relationships throughout college are important? Maybe like joining extracurricular activities or joining different clubs? Like, how do you think that can help shape somebody's college experience?
Oh my goodness. To me, you don't have a choice but to join extracurriculars and reach out. Those external experiences are going to take you so much further than that degree and those A's and those good grades and those perfect scores. Like I always say, even now when I, mentor and I look back, companies want to see that you are a real person. Like, yes, you can make the grade, yes, you can probably do this work and turn in, perfect things, but can you interact with people? Can you be a part of a team? Can you communicate effectively?
Right.
So I learned all of those things in my extracurriculars. So I was a part of a biology fraternity. The most random thing ever, but I learned so much in that experience. I was able to study with people. I got textbooks. I got graduate resources. The alumni came back and will offer a internship and post-grad opportunities. I was a part of the Black Engineer Society, immensely helpful Society of Women Engineers. Jesus Christ, who wasn't I a part of? Sorry, I'm thinking about what else I was a part of. Yeah, so that's the main things. I would titter-tatter to little other things, but those greatly shaped my experiences. I was able to connect with other people who did what I did, or in case of the biology fraternity, I was the only engineer, but they were helpful in, other ways. Good people that I still speak to and I am close with today that do different things. I always think about the relationships that I built in terms of peers. I know lawyers, doctors, pharmacists, actors. I know all these different people, and I have all these different connections in different fields that if I don't know, if I meet someone in the future that needs mentorship, I can say, oh, I know this person, or this person does this, or maybe you should look into this. So why not build networks in an informal way by doing an extracurricular? If you want to go beyond that, an extracurricular can just be just talking to people, just going to different events on your campus. You don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know where that one conversation is going to lead you or who that person may know. So get out of your room, get out of the book, experience the world outside of that textbook. You have to, because that's going to shape you, inform you, and mold you, and connect you to things beyond what a textbook can.
Right, I definitely can agree. So what's next for you? Meaning, you're at your company now. You've been there, you said, for 2 years. Do you want to stay there? I mean, I know it's still kind of early on in your career, but what are your long-term goals? What are your short-term goals? What do you think? Where do you see yourself next?
Where do I see myself next? Wow, I've been contemplating that question for some time now. I honestly don't know what's next for me. I always say, where I am now, I may want to leave tomorrow, but who knows? I may be I have a senior engineer that's a mentor. He's been with my group for 35 years.
Okay.
I really don't know what the future holds for me. I do know I want to go into technical leadership.
Okay.
So in my world, that means being a subject matter expert for a particular process, or a consulting engineer that other, junior or mid-level engineers can go to regarding a topic or process, and I can consult with them. So I do know I want to be a technical leader while also being an individual contributor. Okay. So I'm not thinking about, management and managing others, but being a resource in terms of technical knowledge to others is what I really would love to be and do in the future. So short term, I am taking any opportunity that crosses my path. So whether that's, yes, I have a role and, assignments I need to fulfill, but once in a while taking stretch assignments, or once in a while talking to someone outside of my group, because you do tend to get, strapped down into one thing. But I'm a person who needs breath. I don't mind death at certain points, but I need to be able to spread out and sort of touch everything, get experiences in little things. So talking to someone, not being afraid to say I'm interested in exploring other opportunities, and talking to the right people led me to other people. So now I'm just taking stretch assignments. I'm doing my own, on my own time. I, look into other things, but I really don't know. I'm still so junior, as some would say, or green, as others may say, that I'm just taking whatever opportunity crosses my path. And I'm realizing, considering in my company, there's a age gap in a sense. People are leaving and a lot of young people are like coming in. And I notice we think quickly, we get bored faster. We want to know what's next. But I had to remind myself to not focus on what's next so much. I'm not appreciating on what's going on, what's happening currently.
Okay.
So really taking advantage of those opportunities and those skills and that knowledge, because that's going to better prepare me for what's next. Okay. So really balancing out the present, but while also thinking, this is my goal. I know I don't want to stay tied down to one thing for so long, because you tend to get complacent.
And comfortable, and just like, yeah. I can do this.
Yeah.
I got this.
It's just second nature. I could do this in my sleep. I personally don't enjoy that. I like being uncomfortable, because to me, when I'm uncomfortable, I learn more. So getting outside of my comfort zone and taking on that task, I may not know a thing about it, but hey, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to talk to who I need to talk to. I'm going to do the research either at work or outside of work, and I'm going to take it from there. So you can think about it as another bullet point on the resume, or you can just think about it as a stepping stone to that unknown next step. So that's in short. I really don't have I guess you could say I don't have a long-term or a short-term. I'm just taking advantage of what comes across and moving from there.
Okay. Are there any last words of advice that you want to give students who are watching, who may be struggling, who may be like you were and say, like, I think I'm ready to drop out, or like, what would you tell those people?
This is your journey. It's not your parents' journey. It's not your friends from home. This is your journey. So I keep saying this, but please take advantage of any and every opportunity. Why not? You have the most time right now, because once you graduate, you don't have time. You don't have any time. I'm like, oh, I want to learn this, so I want to do this. I have work to do. Life is happening. So I wish I would have took advantage of more things in college, where I have the most time and flexibility to do so. So please, you could take into consideration what others are saying, but at the end of the day, you're the one that's taking that exam. You're the one that's crossing that stage. You're the one that's applying to that job. So do what you need to do to get to where you need to be. And that's it.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This has definitely been a pleasure. It's interesting hearing different experiences, especially like since you said you had a scholarship going into college. You're the first person I think who said that. So it's just like everybody else is like, oh, I have all this debt, and they're trying to figure out life with debt.
I know. So I appreciate I didn't have to navigate that space, but yeah, that is pretty interesting. I never thought about I guess you can say privilege. I would use that term, my privilege in that aspect. Definitely going to the school that I went to, I appreciate, what I went through. It gave me a little more grit. It gave me a little more like drive, like not just because daddy or mommy put it in front of me. Like I need to get to that next level because I have no one else to lean on, or I can't go back home. I need to like push through and open up doors for the people watching me back at home so they can see that it's possible. You don't have to stay home. You don't have to stay in this one frame of mind. It's more than just your hometown. It's more than what, you've seen growing up. It's so much more out there. So I appreciate my path and my experiences. As a tech person, like you just have a little more drive, a little more like you want this. So you're going to do what you need to get there. So baby, no baby, silver spoon, no silver spoon. You gotta make it work for you. If you want it, you're gonna go for it. So, but you have to want it first.
Exactly. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's Success Series. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our channel to get alerted for the next video.